Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
5 more San Diegans have died from the coronavirus. Good afternoon, I'm Steve Atkinson. The new deaths bring our local total now to 36. County leaders also reported 76 more local cases of COVID-19 today. That brings our total in the county to 1,530. While we still have not hit the peak, there are some early signs of progress in our battle with COVID-19. My co-anchor Kimberly Hunt spoke with county leaders this afternoon. She joins us from her home studio. And Kim, they're trying to be very careful about how we react to those early signs.
Extraordinarily careful, Steve. In fact, they say these are encouraging signs. That is great, but that we should not be complacent in any way. It does appear as though the rate of spread is slower than the earlier models predicted. That's a good thing, but they say it's no time to take your foot off the pedal. In fact, we have a long way to go.
The reality is we have to stay the course. The progress that we are seeing in San Diego and the progress that we are seeing in California is a result of the early actions that we took, but more importantly, a result of the widespread adoption that we have seen from each and every one of you out there, and we need you to continue to do that. Because if we misinterpret any evidence or data to suggest that the progress we were seeing in any way can allow us to lessen the commitment that we have, then all of the meaningful progress that we've taken to date will be undone.
And I also got to follow up with Supervisor Nathan Fletcher about something that a lot of 10 News viewers have been asking us about, and that's the number of those people who have recovered. What does that really mean? He was able to explain that these are statistics that they're reporting. Those are statistics on recoveries, but it's not on a case-by-case basis. That's not how they're getting their numbers.
It's just a 14-day period from when there was a positive test result. So this is right in line with what Johns Hopkins and others are doing. So you simply take the date that you had a positive, 14 days later, you assume them to be recovered. You adjust that by any loss of life. So that's why we say it is an estimated recovery. It is not an individual tracking of each individual person.
So let's show you what this means based on the chart that the county gave us today. With 1,530 cases, 247 people have recovered. That is an estimate on the number of people who have survived 2 weeks since they tested positive. Of course, that number does not include people who had never been tested for coronavirus. But it may just add some clarity to how the county is getting these numbers, Steve, in terms of who has recovered. It's 14 days later. Back to you.
All right, that lag time continues. Kim, thank you. It was a problem even before the pandemic. And today, San Diego City and county leaders announced a major commitment to help those struggling with mental illness and addiction.
The San Diego region is committing $25 million to treat, stabilize, and house individuals experiencing mental illness and substance abuse issues. This is significant because so many San Diegans who suffer from these issues are also homeless. And this fund is for all San Diegans, housed and unhoused. But the need is particularly great for those people who do not have a home.
And the mayor says the money has been tied up in court until now, left over from the old redevelopment zones, which the state eliminated back in 2011. Potential projects must be approved by both the city and the county. Across California, there are nearly 17,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus and 442 deaths. In Los Angeles County, there are more than 7,500 cases and 198 deaths. Now, Governor Gavin Newsom says that California is making a bold move to get the personal protective equipment necessary for our frontline workers.
We're very pleased that we're able to formally submit to the legislature yesterday a request to utilize money from our disaster response emergency operations account that would allow us to invest over $1.4 billion into PPE of all stripes and do so in a way that secure the anxiety that many of us have, not just the healthcare workers in the state of California within the hospital systems, in our community clinics, in our skilled nursing facilities, adult daycare centers, but also our grocery workers, our DMV workers, the frontline employees walking the streets, doing outreach to the homeless, people knocking on your doors to do wellness checks, to basically provide for the amount of personal protective gear that is needed in totality. And so as a consequence, we made a big, bold bet on a new strategy, and it is bearing fruit.
San Diego County is one of the counties receiving top priority for PPE. And the nation appears to be very impressed with our governor. In our Scientific 10 News Union Tribune poll, 54% of Americans approve or strongly approve of how Governor Newsom is handling this situation here, compared to just 18% who disapprove. 28% are not sure. People are much more split on President Trump, though, with 48% approving of his handling of COVID-19. 50%, though, disapprove. But the number who strongly disapprove is up from 13% just 3 weeks ago. Meantime, new questions are arising about how long ago coronavirus was on the government's radar. Here's ABC's Alex Perchet.
A U.S. intelligence report now coming to light is raising new questions about the Trump administration's response to the coronavirus outbreak. An ABC News investigation confirming through 4 sources that the National Committee on Medical Intelligence was aware as early as November of COVID-19's uncontrolled spread in China by monitoring communication and satellite images there. The committee detailing how the disease could pose a serious threat to U.S. forces in Asia. Their analysis also finding Chinese leaders knew the outbreak was out of control, but opted to hide that information from foreign governments and health agencies. The report was vetted by intelligence, military, and White House officials for more than a month before appearing in the president's daily brief in early January. This was the president on February 7th.
China's working very hard. I think they're doing a very professional job.
I'm not surprised at all that the intelligence community picked up the warning signs. What is surprising and what is disappointing is that our leadership did not take steps more quickly to pull together a cohesive, government-wide plan to address the emerging crisis.
So far, the White House has declined to comment on the ABC report, but it comes as a new CNN SSRS poll shows 55% of Americans believe the president could be doing more to fight the outbreak. The same numbers say the federal government has done a poor job in preventing the virus's spread. 80% of Americans surveyed say the worst is yet to come as the country deals with this pandemic. The president, in a press conference yesterday, shifted blame to the World Health Organization, accusing it of poorly handling the COVID-19 response.
Is it time to freeze funding to the WHO during a pandemic?
No, maybe not. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but we're going to look at it.
The World Health Organization Director General trying to cool tensions, saying his organization has been doing all it can since the beginning, and to please quarantine politicizing COVID. Alex Perchet, ABC News, Washington.
And President Trump was asked at this afternoon's press conference about the November warning reportedly given to his administration about an outbreak in China. He claims he did not hear about it until January.
Well, I learned when I learned about the gravity of it was sometime just prior to closing the country to China. And when we closed up the flights coming in from China and various other elements, and then, as you know, we closed up to Europe. So I don't know exactly, but I'd like to see the information.
And in that press conference, the president also again threatened to withhold the hundreds of millions of dollars the U.S. gives to the World Health Organization. He claims that the WHO dropped the ball with this pandemic and the U.S. pays more than other countries. And it was a good day for the stock market as investors focused on signs the coronavirus peak may be near. The Dow gained 779 points, while the Nasdaq gained 203. The S&P was up 90. The Federal Reserve is lifting its loan cap on Wells Fargo to help more small businesses. As we first told you yesterday, many businesses have been unable to get those low-interest stimulus loans. That's because Wells Fargo reached its $10 billion loan cap imposed after that 2016 fake account scandal. Wells Fargo says it is expanding participation in the Paycheck Protection Program. Customers can begin the process through the Wells Fargo website. Renters across San Diego unable to pay their landlords because of coronavirus-related hardships are currently protected from eviction and penalty. It's due to an executive order from Governor Newsom that lasts through May. And our 10 News reporter John Horn explains why those protections just got even stronger.
Tens of thousands of workers across San Diego County have seen their jobs disappear amid coronavirus restrictions, but their rents are still due on the first of the month. That's why Governor Newsom signed an executive order in March protecting those tenants from eviction until May 31st.
Your children are sent home from school, you can't work, you've had a diminished income, something that prevents you, due to the crisis, to not be able to pay.
But now California's Judicial Council is taking that much further, effectively halting evictions statewide. The body, which oversees courts in California, says courts will not accept eviction lawsuits from landlords for 90 days after the governor lifts his state of emergency. The one exception is when there is a threat to public health and safety.
What we want to do is try to maintain as much of the status quo in order for people to stay safe at home.
On Wednesday, the Workforce Partnership reported more than 33,000 San Diegans losing their jobs this year, most of them working in hospitality, restaurants, and bars. The governor's order doesn't free tenants from having to pay the full rent that is due. In fact, tenants must notify their landlords in writing of their financial hardship no later than 7 days after their rent is due. John Horn, 10 News.
Now, in a statement, the Southern California Rental Housing Association says it is concerned with these new rules, but says it is pleased that evictions for health and safety reasons are still allowable for now. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is responding to treatment for COVID-19. This is according to the official spokesman for the Prime Minister. He said, quote, "The Prime Minister is receiving oxygen treatment and is breathing without support." Johnson spent the last 3 nights in the hospital for COVID-19. The last 2 days he has spent in the ICU. A San Diego native appointed as the acting Secretary of the Navy. This comes after Thomas Modly resigned for criticizing the captain who raised concerns about a coronavirus outbreak on his ship, the USS Roosevelt. Our 10 News reporter Rena Nakano has a closer look at the retired admiral's career.
Mr. Chairman, that we will meet that goal.
This is San Diego native James E. McPherson, the new acting secretary of the U.S. Navy. He replaces Thomas Modly, who resigned Tuesday, one day after the release of a leaked audio clip of him berating former USS Theodore Roosevelt skipper Brett Crozier.
If he didn't think that information was going to get out into the public, then he was A, too naive or too stupid.
Crozier was removed as captain of the San Diego-based aircraft carrier after a private letter to Navy leadership outlining the dire situation of COVID-19 aboard the ship was leaked. Defense Secretary Mark Esper making Jim McPherson's appointment public on his Twitter page. He describes McPherson as, quote, "a capable and professional leader who will restore confidence and stability in the Navy during these challenging times." According to his military biography, McPherson grew up here in San Diego. In 1972, he enlisted in the Army and served as military police before leaving for college. He came back to San Diego, getting his undergraduate degree from San Diego State in 1977, and in 81, he earned a law degree from University of San Diego. He then began his 26-year naval career, mainly in the military law field. In 2006, he retired as the Judge Advocate General of the Navy. McPherson continued to work for the government, most recently being sworn in as the 34th Undersecretary of the U.S. Army on March 25, 2020. But just 2 weeks later, he was appointed as the Secretary of the Navy. Rena Nakano, 10 News.
The Defense Secretary says that McPherson will serve as the acting Navy Secretary until that position is filled permanently. All right, turning now to our weather. Look at that. Partly cloudy skies across the county, but more rain is headed our way as we have this break for right now. Our meteorologist, Angelica Campos, is tracking the next round of wet weather. Hello, Angelica.
Hi, Steve. One storm and multiple days of rain so far, more on the way. So I want to show you why there's actually a break. The storm itself is just sitting offshore, but wrapping around moisture is really impacting regions to our north and just to our east. We are expecting more rainfall with our flash flood watch still in effect until 7 p.m. and our winter weather advisory that has been issued for our mountains. It does look like there's still a little bit of snow in areas like Mount Laguna and a little bit of rain just north rather of Oceanside. We'll be tracking a few more showers and more possible thunderstorms.
Angelica, thank you. Chula Vista City Councilman Steve Padilla is recounting his battle with COVID-19.
Apparently, there were a couple times when I seized up.
The scary moments he overcame from his hospital bed, plus students navigating challenges with distance learning, what teachers are doing to make sure no child falls behind. And business is booming for North Park Nursery. How you can find your own silver lining with some greenery. We're back in 90 seconds.